for our other live that you didn't get to see. Mercury retrograde, babies. So, anyway, hi, my name is Jennifer Rose, and we just finished up a video about astrology for the week ahead for Astro Insights, and it is still private right now, and I'll release that here in a little bit. But I'm going to literally move this over to Melanie so we can go ahead with the live tarot card reading. Okay, so here we go. Hi, friends. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for this live tarot reading on Sunday morning. Uh, we've had some real Mercury retrograde moments this morning, and we are just rolling with the changes the best that we can. Thank you so much for tuning in for this one. So this tarot reading, real quick, is just a 2-card reading. And, we're right here. We've got so much happening. I just talked about it in this video you haven't seen yet. About how we're crossing back and forth between Pisces and Aries. We have in the coming week, Mercury and Venus are both retrograde. So in the coming week, they are both backing up over the line between Aries and Pisces back into Pisces. And then they're going to conjunct with Neptune. So that can bring up some illusion, some confusion, some idealization. But it's a good time to be sort of idealizing, noticing what we find ideal, because there is progress that we want to make right now. We also might be struggling to make a little bit of progress right now because Mars is in Cancer and things are moving back and forth between Pisces and Aries. But by the end of the week, Venus and Mercury will have moved back into Pisces, and the Neptune will have moved on into Aries. And that's a big shift, and it's a big indicator of a larger shift that we're going through over the course of this year, out of passive, receptive principles and into more active and projecting principles, okay, ways of doing things. So on this cusp between Pisces and Aries, as we watch all of these planets make these back and forth crisscrosses over the course of the year, we're going to watch a lot of things sort of dematerialize before our eyes, and we're going to watch some things set themselves up for a new way of being. Okay, so what's going out and what's coming in? The first card is about what is going out. What can we say goodbye to? What can we be consciously trying to let go of right now? Well, isn't that interesting? The Justice card comes up. Okay, so I refuse to let go of justice as a concept or as an ideal. Okay, but definitely I might be having to let go of some ideas of the way justice is supposed to work. Right. Being a citizen of the United States, an American, we think that things are usually solved through the courts. That's how we allow that to happen. Of course, sometimes people do take the law into their own hands. They do take justice into their own hands, and in general, we tend to frown on that. But also, I think we all kind of reserve the right to do that if we want to. So our ideas about justice are changing. Our ideas about what is fair and balanced are changing. Maybe a lot of us are really waking up to the fact that things that we thought were really fair and balanced aren't. Okay. When we live, especially when we live a life where we have a lot of the things that we need and desire, we tend to think that those who don't have those things are that's justice somehow because they're making choices that exempt them from having those nice things. But that's not necessarily the truth. Sometimes those things just aren't accessible to certain people in certain circumstances. And so we have to have this idea that, to me, we have to have this idea that it's fair for everybody to have their basic needs met, and for everybody to have an opportunity to succeed in whatever direction they want to succeed. And, we might have to be looking at different ways. We might have to be letting go of some old ways of thinking about how to make that happen because it's not necessarily working in all the cases. Okay, so that's justice on the way out, and that doesn't mean that justice in general is on the way out, although it might seem to look that way in a lot of ways if you watch the news. But also just some ideas we have of how justice is enacted are on the way out too. We're going to change our minds about how to bring justice and how to make things fair and equal for people. Okay, So that's what's coming up. And I'm talking about the next week, so definitely our eyes are likely to be open to some things, regarding what we think of as justice, either being out of alignment with what we idealize, or just requiring correction or requiring a different perspective to be taken on it. Okay. And then the next card is what's coming in. And here is the card for what's coming in. What can we open our arms to embrace, my friends? It is the Death card. Okay, so death card does not always literally mean death, although, I'm going to just go ahead and say there's a lot of people dying in the world right now. There's a lot of real tragedy happening, and a lot of having to be in acceptance of these real tragedies that are happening. But death is about change, and change is inevitable, and we have to be accepting change. The thing I love about this card is, it shows that this kind of change comes for everybody. You see a king has already been toppled here. You see, it looks like a pope and maybe a child and a person praying. It doesn't really matter how pious or religious or sweet or good or kind you are. It doesn't matter how important you are, how wealthy you are, how much or how little you have. Change comes for us all. And we are going through some changes. Okay. The bigger shift is, like I said, from more passive and receptive ways of doing and seeing things to more active and projecting ways of doing and seeing things. Um, and I just want to say, when you see those changes coming, when you see the sun on the horizon, right, the sun coming up, then you have to have your arms open for it. You have to be ready and ready, or getting ready, or trying to prepare yourself to be in acceptance of the changes that are coming. Okay, so there are changes coming. Let's embrace them. Okay, let's do our best not to let them knock us over and take our lives or take our sense of initiative from us, because we still have power to make change. And I just want to, like, we can. Here's the thing, like, things are going to change whether you want them to or not. Okay, so are you going to step up and be part of the change, or are you going to sort of cower before the change and wind up getting trampled by it, right? So what's going out? I think it's interesting. We got two major arcana cards here. Okay, so what's going out is our sense of how we enact justice, our sense of what's fair and what's going to be fair for everybody going forward. We want a level playing field for everybody. All right. Especially with Pluto and Aquarius, that's where the power is. The power is with the people. The power is with collaboration. The power is with allyship and working together for collective uplift. Okay. So old ideas of how justice is enacted may not be working for us very well right now. And that doesn't mean that we have to take justice into our own hands and go out and do violent things, that kind of stuff. But it does mean that we might have to change our mind about how to get this justice done in the world, right? And then coming in is what we have is the death card, and that means that change is inevitable. So my guidance is just try to embrace the change, the changes that you see coming down. Okay, a lot of this has to do with being accepting of the fact that things are changing, that we're changing our minds about how we're going to move forward, and we can be on board with the collective change, or we can run against the grain. And it really depends on your perspective, what you're going to do, like whose side you're going to be on. But there will be some changes, and there will be uh, some conflict coming up when it comes to the changes that are coming in. Okay, so this is a time when we are sort of back and forth between how we idealize how justice is supposed to happen, and what we want to see change, right? This is the time to be like reflecting on these two, noticing, what you think is just and fair, where you think justice is not being carried out in the world, and what kind of changes you'd like to see, what kind of changes you'd like to be on board with. Okay, that's kind of big news, but we just came out of a really big period of astrology. The last 2 or 3 weeks was our it was our eclipse season. We have two planets retrograde. They were in Aries. By the end of this week, they'll both be in Pisces. So in comes that idealization, that ability and willingness to sort of heal our perspectives on what justice is, And then in come the changes after that. When Neptune goes into Aries, things are going to start to shift, and people are going to become more active in the name of their spirituality, more active in the name of what they idealize. Okay, friends, that is our live reading for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. to give you astrological updates, and we'll be back here live at Sunday at 10 a.m. next weekend. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next video.